Tuesday, April 29th. Otherwise, Board of Commissioners meeting to order at 9 o'clock. And the first thing on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. I'll make a motion to discuss and approve the agenda.
Second. I know, I looked at it.
Any reason for a non-public session today? Any reason to recess the meeting to do something else, like we've done just about every other week? I know of none.
Well, I do have the driveway inspection, if you want to start on those again. That one that you
It's a nice
haven't been
day.
able to, yeah.
This is on Blendon, 15 Blendon?
Yep, it is.
You'll be traveling.
I'll be traveling.
Okay,
What is your personal agenda?
Unless this meeting ends at 10, then I'd have time.
Still don't have time.
I don't think so.
As long as I'm on the road from here by 11, I'm
All
fine.
right. You want to look at driveways?
Yeah.
All right, so we'll
Cool.
probably recess this if you can remind me,
Great.
as I'm trying to slam the door on this.
Yep,
Okay, all in favor of the agenda with the recessing to go and look at the driveway on Blendon? Say aye.
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 3-0 on the agenda. Next is the approval of the minutes of 4/22, last Tuesday. I'll make a motion to discuss and approve the minutes of 4/25/25.
4/22, right?
yep,
4/22.
the 22nd, yeah.
4/22/25.
Second.
Anybody have anything?
I had one spot under the DPW, no, under Nick.
Oh,
The 9th bullet, direct drilling. We were talking about Bergdorf, not Grissom.
oh, gotcha.
I had one which wasn't true at the time and became true after it.
Really? I'm psychic.
Under same section with the engineer.
Yeah,
I don't know how many, she counted the
I
bullets.
know.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Okay,
It says, water operator Ian Hayes is scheduled to appear, and then it says, Mark discussed the need for engineering plans to address the 200-foot by 4-inch fused pipe to be installed from Aspen to Bergdorf. At the time we were discussing this, it was from number 2 Bergdorf to number 5 Bergdorf.
oh,
So it was all on Bergdorf.
I see.
Then after that,
What?
after this meeting, days later, we discovered that it's not going to start on Bergdorf. It's not clear where it's going to
I
start.
see.
So at this time, you should change Aspen to Bergdorf.
Okay,
Actually, from number 2 Bergdorf to number
Yep.
5 Bergdorf.
gotcha.
It became unclear. Oh, we're doing minutes, so I'll stay on minutes.
Yeah,
We'll
right.
discuss this
Okay.
during there.
Yeah.
And did I have anything else? Let's see. The last bullet of that one.
Okay,
DPW well must be installed at least 20 feet from the current DPWA well. NHDS advises it may take up to 2 years to complete, and I want to add permitting and installation
okay,
of this type. And they may have been saying permitting, but permitting, I think, was their main goal, to set our expectations, because they're involved in the permitting.
I gotcha.
It's no cakewalk to do this, and it's even more involved if you try to put a new well in a new well field.
Yeah,
This
Yes.
wasn't an existing well field. But anyway, those are the 2 comments I had.
Okay, I've got 2 pretty minor. Again, if you go to 4, Nick's schedule.
bullet 4?
No, section 4.
Okay,
I'm really addressing bullet 7, but the several bullets before that are all talking about Muddy Beach and the uranium problem. Then all of a sudden you get to bullet 7, It says Mark Raffam notes factors for needing three-phase power, and if the well field was ever contaminated, a catch basin was created. In other words, we're all of a sudden switching now to DPW 1. And so if I'm a reader for the first time, I'm a little confused. I still think maybe you're on Muddy Beach. So maybe if you can add in, we're talking about DPW 1 on that particular bullet point.
Okay, so somewhere in that, make sure it's,
Right. And then if you,
okay.
and then pretty minor, if you just go down to the second to last bullet, the very last line, it says, a mobile generation may be a better option. A mobile generator. That's all I have.
As far as the recess goes, should we put something in here to say what happened during that recess? Where we went out to Bergdorf with the engineer? Just the highest level, we discussed the run of the pipe, how it goes under the culvert, and he pointed out that this is a natural swale that's gonna protect that, which he liked because it was very long.
Yep.
And so if you could put that in there, is that we discussed the run
I'd
of-
rather you put something in writing
So-
back to me. I
so-
wasn't
yeah,
there,
okay.
so
All right,
I think it would be appropriate for you to do that.
and we'll add that to this.
Sure.
Yes.
Okay.
So we're gonna vote to approve this with the addendum added to the recess. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
3-0 on the
Okay.
minutes. Next at 9:07, we'll move to manifests. I'll make a motion to discuss and approve an operations and payroll manifest to the tune of $12,600.18. Second?
Second.
Discussion. Let me bring up that manifest.
Looked okay.
Any comments on it, Widow?
No, just the bulk of it was payroll and employee benefits. That was the lion's share of that 12,000.
Yep.
The rest was just sort of some minor bills here and there.
There's one, on the payroll, on your time card.
Yeah,
Do you have the time card?
I do.
Okay, take a look at it. You put a note, which was very helpful,
yes,
regarding retroactive pay raise back to the first.
correct.
And you have a interesting new way of putting decimal points in. Take a look at that time card.
Oh,
What?
I didn't notice that.
Let me show you.
On the time card itself, you mean?
Yes,
That's funny.
Fine.
right here.
That's the total number of hours times.
It's 1.7, 1.95,
Oh, yeah.
0.00.
Oh, yeah, but it
That's the
did,
new math.
whoops. But that's not the calculation, you know that, right?
Yeah, the whole point of that is just to show you, I look
Yeah.
at the time cards.
You're funny. Thank you.
I see it. Okay.
So all in favor of approving this manifest?
Aye.
Aye.
3-0 on that manifest, and that's the only manifest for this week.
Yes.
Okay, so next we go to DPW report at 9:09. Good morning.
Hello. Okay, so I've got a few things, but let's touch off on what Doug sent here to the office. And so kayak racks.
I've got this in writing, is that helpful if you all see a written copy?
I printed out a copy.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
you
have
can
one
look at
here,
it.
I can share.
I read it yesterday.
Okay.
So
It's exactly the way I memorized it.
you know, I haven't been out and inspected those in a few years. I know they're always in need of repairs and
Okay,
things like that.
condition of-
You know, so I don't know what they look like, to tell you the truth. You know, what was been done the last couple of years. Again, I think it's been out of the department. We haven't handled anything on those for a while.
We've got
If
two,
anything's been done to them.
We've got two, we've been working on recruiting some new volunteers in EPOA. We got two terrific new guys that And it specifically said they like to build stuff.
That's
And they said,
perfect.
how about the kayak racks? That'd be great.
That's awesome.
So, if you'd like, it's just putting it out there. If you'd like to get some volunteer help on that, either we could work with Jeff and Tony, or we could just go out autonomously and add construction screws or reinforce or whatever. Whatever you want. One of them also commented, he's actually going around and looking at all of the facilities in the district to see where we might be able to help with different things. And he noticed that the racks at Idleweiss are in kind of a mucky area.
Yeah,
He
that
was wondering
gets
if we
pretty
could
wet.
Fill it in, or get a team together to move them, or something.
Yeah, I don't know where else they would go over there without taking up space on
Could we
the
put sand
beach.
there? Could just fill it in with sand?
I'm not sure that's gonna work either. You know, I think whatever you do there is gonna kind of wash right out. I mean, I'm not sure.
What about fill from the ditches?
Technically, they're on the beach.
Right.
Yeah, I gotta go take a look. I'm trying to
So we-
remember exactly.
You can't really go
Can't
putting anything in
much of anything.
wetlands and stuff like that. That's the
Because
thing.
it's wetlands.
You know, so moving them, you know, I don't know. Like I said, you're gonna take away parking, or you're gonna take away beach space to kind of get them in a drier area, or you're gonna take away the access, and that's even kind of mucky, where you could back down in to get to the, you know, we can't really tie up that, because in an emergency, you have to be able to back down through that spot where the gate is, you know, the chain to get to the beach. So, I don't know, that's kind of a slippery slope.
Literally and figuratively. So,
Yeah, I haven't taken a look at that myself.
Yeah.
Go over and take a look and see.
That's one of those, you kind of go down there and
something we
flip
can
flops or
remediate.
your Crocs.
It is a road.
What's that?
The emergency access that goes down, which always becomes a mud pit
Right,
Oh,
after heavy rains.
yeah.
There must be something we can do to fill that in.
Oh, that could get taken care of, and there was some talk about fixing that a few years back.
We're away from kayak racks, and I
Yeah.
don't know what the point of this is.
Right,
so
Okay.
right.
That's another-
So that's
another
another
day.
story, but yeah, so I mean, you know, with everybody racking their brain
Want
and
the
taking a
kayak racks
second look
adjacent
at
to the
it.
road, if you go to the road, let's say you're not backing in, you go down straight, the kayak racks are right off to the right, right? Are they not? I'm trying to remember.
They're,
Yeah, they're-
they're on the opposite corner of the basketball courts,
Right.
way away from the road.
Right,
Oh, that side, okay, I'm mistaken, okay.
so you know, that's something that might need some thought and some, like I said, picturing it in my head, I don't see a spot without taking away more of like the beach area that would be dry.
Well, key question is, would you like some volunteers to work on those with DPW or autonomously? I guess is the key question here.
I would probably say autonomously,
In the past, they just fixed it.
Yeah.
yeah,
who's
yeah.
they?
I mean,
The EPOA
EPOA volunteers.
if you're doing it during the weekdays, and if something happened where you needed DPW help for some small thing, I would be okay with that. But
Right.
I'd rather not take them away from their normal duties and responsibilities, as long as you guys feel you can handle it all on your own.
Yep. At least the first shot, I think we could.
There was talk of putting sort of an extra piece of wood there because really people are using kayaks more than canoes these
Right.
days.
Right.
And the
Sure.
kayaks could use a little extra support or something like that.
Yeah, that's on the list too.
Okay.
I got the same message, that they feel like the kayaks are really a stretch to go between the
Yes.
cross pieces that are there. Okay, if you're all right with that, we'll start picking away at it, and we'll come back with any questions or.
That's a good point Donna brings up. From the application for a rack, does the application have a checkoff whether they're gonna put a kayak there or a canoe?
No.
No.
No, okay. So you can't get info that way, all right.
They put whatever fits in the spot.
Yeah, all right.
Sometimes
I mean,
multiple things. that
Right,
can fit in
paddle
a spot.
boards now are being a thing, you know, you get all kinds of different
Yeah,
stuff
okay.
nowadays.
All right.
We
But-
want the volunteers to execute a volunteer release and waiver of liability form each. The
Yeah.
latest one I have, I think, is from 2018. Is that still current, or has that been updated? As far as we know.
I haven't needed to produce one, so I don't know.
Can we do one when we put the swim float, all
Yeah.
the new?
That's the one we used. Yeah.
Have you seen one?
I haven't seen
Do you want to
one.
send her a version that you have?
Yes. Yep.
Thank you.
So but you're wondering if there's an updated one?
Yeah, or if we should look at it to see if it needs to be updated.
Was that something we created in the first
Well,
place?
you're good at that, Doug. Why don't, I mean,
I'll take a look.
I mean, I read it that one
I'm
time.
not aware of any changes that would be needed.
Yeah, when I signed it,
But
when we did the swim floats, I didn't have a problem with it.
The only issue I found when I filled it out is that it's specific project oriented, and what we would want if volunteers are gonna be involved in a number of different things. Maybe the option of just generically saying, on any project that I work on, I'm giving a release and
Waiving.
waiver of liability. So there might need to be a little change in wording for that, to make it a little bit more broad. I'll take a look at that. Okay,
So the picnic tables, last number of years, we've bought them at Lowe's. They were around $200. Again, with what's going on, I don't know what they cost now. I don't know if we bought one last year or not. But yeah, that one at the Vista we took a look at last year, might have put a board here or there on it. But I know that's gotten pretty banged up, and I'm not sure if we'll have to take a look at the rest of the beaches and see what those ones look like. And see where we're at with that, and if we need to purchase a few more. But that, like I say, roughly, they were like $200 this time of year, and now would be the time to grab them, because they start to go fast. They're all pre-assembled, and like I say, that was Home Depot or Lowe's. And then the swim platforms, yeah, I think we mentioned it a couple weeks ago about possibly getting them in before Memorial Day, with the weather kind of being nicer and nicer, so we don't run into what happened last year on Memorial Day with some people putting them in themselves. So
That's why I suggest putting in Toosis first.
yeah, so we can
Same crew will be back.
get together and get that going in the next few weeks, because we're pulling into May 1st here in another couple of days.
right. I'd like to bring one of these new volunteers along.
Yeah,
More people familiar with the process.
right,
We'll
yeah,
go out a couple days in advance and raise the buoys up from the winter
Yeah.
position. And we've got some painting on a couple of them that needs to be tied. We have some of that paint left.
okay.
I don't know if we need to check the ladders and the.
Yeah, well, some of them stayed out there, some of them we took in, so we'll take a look at that and put them back together and go through that.
We talked last year about when we had to replace that the flotation box on Idlewild.
Right.
We didn't have any spares in inventory, so we had to bring it in, flip it over. We had to stage in the backhoe to deal with it. Then we left,
Right,
went and got the unit, and we had to stage it all over again
right,
to swap it out and then relaunch it. So if we had 2 or 3 of those in stock, in inventory, then we could do it in one task. Quick in, quick out, no
Right.
disruption on the beach.
I agree with that, and those flotations, if I was correct, again, they used to be like 180, I think last year we paid 230 or something like that for it. Or two something, so that's probably about what those cost, is I would say about $230. Again, off the top of my head, I remember having a budget, and if I got 2, I was like a couple of $20 or $30 over the budget, so I only bought the one. But I think that was the rough cost about those flotations. But I think Doug makes a good point, that it would be nice to have a couple on hand in the shop in case one does go flat, they bust a hole in them or whatever, and you know, by not having them, you have to do it twice. You pull it out, you take it off, instead of putting one rack on and sending the raft back out, you gotta go drive to the joint, get the piece, and do it that way.
Do you think they cost about $230 now?
Yeah, I think that, you know, again, that was kind of a rough figure last year when we bought the one.
I'll make a motion that we,
I mean, I can make a phone call to the northern dock and get a solider price.
all right, why don't we do that first before I make any motion as to how much the budget ought to be?
Yeah.
I think 2 is reasonable.
Yeah,
I mean,
Yeah.
we only, how many did we swap out last year? 1?
I think it was just the one, yeah.
Okay.
And you would store them outside?
I think I'd keep
DPW1?
them in the shop inside, you know, that way they stay away from the weather and,
Which, 1 or 2? DPW 1 or 2?
either one, I could
Because they're
put them
pretty
up.
big.
Yeah, they're light though, and I could put them up on the loft in DPW too there, so they're out of the way, I mean,
Okay.
Yeah, so moving on from that, unless Doug's got anything else to say about the list? No, Doug, okay. We got all the trucks stripped down, the grader stripped down, we washed all the plows and sanders and got them hung in the racks. We got the old orange spreader out of the rack into the truck, loaded that with some more scrap metal and brought that over to the junkyard to get ourselves a few dollars that got back to the district this time. So that was good. And while we did that, we did put a little gravel in the spreader rack area so it would stay flat. The soft sand in there, you know, we're always dealing with the truck being and fighting with trying to hang those things and unhang them. So we put a little gravel down on the two. You know, the one spreader was already hung, so we didn't do that section. But the other two, since we had them empty, we cleaned them out. We put some gravel, laid some gravel, probably 3 buckets worth of gravel from the backhoe. It wasn't all that much that we had from those 2 loads that we got. So we did put a little bit of that down to keep that a better spot, to make it easier for us, I mean, rather than fighting it.
Tell me in cubic yards with 3 buckets. What a bucket
I'd
is.
say 5, maybe 4 or 5. If each bucket's a little bit more than a yard, I think, yard and a half. So I'd say I'd go with a round figure of 5 cubic yards.
Thanks.
Um,
That's about what you bought from the last Coleman, I think.
Probably, yeah. There was, I think it was 6 tons, 5.8 tons or something like that. I think Coleman's gave me. That was a pretty wimpy load, but
How's that pickleball net working out?
nobody's been in there.
It's a good
Yeah.
thing.
And it's
5.67
easy enough
ton.
for you and Tony just?
Yeah, it worked out fine as far as taking it off, and this is the same as the rope, you know,
Okay.
just kind of wrap it around, and
All right.
yeah, no, that worked out
Every
okay.
time I drive by, I look at it and go, really?
I know.
Hey, it works.
It's what it took, though, I
Yeah,
guess.
no.
Definitely sends a clear message to anybody who's trying to pull in there.
Yeah, I mean, you'd think the signs would, but, you know.
They don't
Yeah.
have to read.
People are gonna do what they're gonna do, you know, and that kind of brings me to another point, is like trash. I mean, trash in the bus stop, cans all over the district, you know, I mean, I just don't understand people. They go around with their little dog bags, and they pick up the dog poop in the bag, and then they or in the woods, you know? I mean, I could see if you're in the middle of a lawn somewhere and you want to pick, you know, you picking it up's the right thing to do, but I just don't understand people. So I'll get off of that subject, but, because you could go on and on with that, but, so the trucks, we graded Idlewise Drive, we gave it a light grade. We put some calcium down and watered it. We got the 19 ready for the water, for the season with the water, and we used Muddy Beach's new setup there, and that works really slick for filling the truck up. So that worked out good the way they did
Faster?
that for us.
It's faster?
The other spot was a little faster. It came out a little faster, but I mean, it's not like it's slow.
I thought Muddy Beach's pump would be putting out more water, more gallons per minute than I saw it when they were putting it out the ways behind. I wondered what you were gonna say when you filled the truck.
Yeah, with the flexible hose, the bending hose there, the roll-up hose, it was terrible because that just kinks up on you. So we had our own rigid hose, and when we hooked that up, it was definitely a lot faster than the flexible hose. It wasn't faster than the well behind, but I mean, we don't need, you know, it works fine. It's
I have to ask Ian, because those are variable frequency pumps.
Yeah,
So I don't know whether they're revved up to
right.
what they could be doing.
Yeah, because I think he did say it was 40 gallons a minute or something like that. You know, that's a 700-gallon tank, so if it's pushing 40 gallons, you know, that should fill it up. But it filled it up fast
How
enough.
big is the tank?
I believe it's a 700-gallon tank.
And how big is the tank for the calcium at DPW 2?
The yellow tank, I believe, is just under, or just around 3,000
So
gallons.
it's
So yeah, we get the plow while the spreaders wash.
So, when you graded Idlewild Drive, was that just water that went down, or did you put in?
No, we put a little calcium
Did
down
you?
after the, yeah, when we graded it, you know, again, we never thought it'd be so dry. We got grading it, and I got behind Tony, and I was raking, and I says, geez, I can't believe it's like powder. It was so dry, and we hadn't had the water truck set up at that point. So the next day, we set the water truck up, and we watered it, and then we laid some calcium down after that, and it firmed it up nice. So yeah, just, you know, coming right out of winter like it was when we did it, it was kind of ironic that it was so dry already, but it's what we're fighting with already.
So far, is Idlewild the only one we've graded?
We did that little short spot on Hotwell.
Hotwell.
We didn't put any material down on that. We did put that one load of gravel down that I got from Coleman's on the hill on Idlewise, but no. So that's all we graded. And getting into the grading now. So that brings me to, I've been on the phone with John Deere, and I'm trying to get an answer about this blower setup that they're supposed to have set up for us. They have nothing going on. They have no answer for me, and it's getting frustrating. I need the blower to be operational. And if John Deere isn't going to get anything done with it because they keep telling me they're in the working stages of figuring something out, well, that doesn't work. I mean, I need that blower to work. They told us it would work. I'm thinking of trying to get another machine or something. I mean, I don't know what you guys are thinking about that or what, but that blower should be able to work on our machine. It doesn't, and we need it to work. We can't really go out there and grade a lot of the roads with the debris in the shoulder and the ditch lines, because that's going to get all pulled into the road, and you can't grade the road with pine needles, pine cones, sticks.
Did we rent last fall?
We rented a blower from Coleman's for a day or two maybe, to try to blow some stuff out of there, but yeah, I mean, it seems foolish to rent a piece of equipment when you have a piece of equipment.
Yeah, but every time you've tried it, if something happens, it
Right, it's-
blows a fuse or something, I forget
Well,
what
it
the...
blows a seal, which
seal.
costs some
Blows
big
a
money.
seal. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and they're supposed to get the problem righted around, and I feel like I'm just getting the runaround from them. And I'm not sure how to handle it.
I think you have to still keep pressing John Deere, but in the meantime, it's preventing you from doing some work, so we may need to consider rent a machine again to get the blowing done.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, you know, that's true, and I guess that's what I'm asking as well. I mean, if that's where the route we're gonna have to go, because it is hampering from blowing some of these roads, is the debris in the roads, on the sides of the roads, let alone the pipes, the culverts and everything else. I've been going around checking culverts to get on our flush list for the basin truck and all that, and I've been compiling my list with that. And the leaves, because we haven't really been able to blow them properly the last couple of years because of that blower being out of commission. You know, the blower also acts as something that blows the sand off the paved roads because of what happened. We all know what happened with the sweeper years ago. So, like I said, it's a piece of equipment that we use regularly year-round, and I just wish it was working. But moving past that, unless anybody else got something to say about it, I mean, I'm with you. What if we have to rent something? Unfortunately, we have to. I hate spending.
What does it cost to rent a...
They're like $400 or $500 a day, those big blowers. He's got that one I rented, which you ride on, which works good, very good. The one we have, and they have one like that as well, works better. But the one that they have, you got to rent it with the skid steer. Now I think you're looking at, I forget what he said last fall, but I think that's like $800 a day.
How many days did it take last fall to get everything you needed to get done?
Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get everything
Right.
done. I think I had it for a couple of days, and then I had to bring it back because the weather kind of shut me out and things like that. So it'd take probably 3 or 4 days to get around the district, every road or something. I mean, and again, that's just a rough estimate. I think if we were, I think we put aside $1,500 or $2,000 to rent it, and I only think I rented it for 2 days. I ended up bringing it back early. I can't remember exactly, but
So we're looking at really 3 to 4 days.
maybe,
That's, yeah, that's,
say at 500 a day,
yeah, it's up to about 2,000.
because they'll have to deliver it and pick it up. And another thing, you know, again, I don't know, this time of year, a lot of landscapers are blowing leaves and cleaning yards and the availability of it over there either. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I could look into it. But that's just something that's out there.
Typically, how long does our blower last until the seal blows?
Not long,
Not long. Like,
no,
Like an hour?
maybe.
Oh, so it's
An
usually, so
hour.
you're not gonna get anything done in an
I
hour.
wouldn't take the chance running it right now
Okay.
that it's fixed without knowing that the pressure on that backhoe wasn't gonna blow it out. Yeah. So. The dam, I've been monitoring that. We put the board back, I put the board back in, I believe it was Thursday or Friday.
Okay.
I put
We
the,
missed the date according to the, we all forgot about it. We're supposed to be in by April 10th, but now that the policy that Nancy wrote up, and you can act without asking us.
Right.
In the future, you just need to put on your calendar that, you know, that's your drop dead date. The board has to be back in
yeah.
by April 10th.
So they're all in now, every board, you know, the 5-inch cap is on top there, and, you know, we get 1.5 inches of rain over the weekend, give or take just a little bit, from that, and, she rose quite a bit by having the board in prior to the rain, and it's below the mark, but it's definitely above, you know,
Where it
the
was.
spillway.
Yeah.
Which is, I guess, where people want it. So we'll just have to keep an eye on it. If we know,
You got your band.
yeah,
If it goes above the band, you can on your own pull a board until it goes below the band.
right, right. What I don't like is the band, to me, puts it at a dangerous spot to try pulling and.
Well, you said if it's at the band or maybe even a little above, it's not too bad. It's if it gets way above the band, then it becomes.
Well, the band is the mark, you know what I mean?
Right.
That's where it's like, you know, now you're starting to get into a dicey situation. So,
So it's the band, you regularly pull it out.
right.
Right.
So it's a few inches below that right now, but definitely above the spillway. And like I said, if we see that 4 or 5 inches of rain are coming, I would pull the
Oh, yeah.
3 inches of rain.
Yes.
I would pull it prior to even getting the rain. That would be my suggestion if that
No,
works for
absolutely.
anybody. I mean,
The policy gives you gives
Because
us the flexibility.
that
to
just
do
makes common sense in my mind.
Right.
Because now you get it to a point where I'm not going out there.
Yeah.
Well,
You
Yes.
know?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can't be
If it goes too far above that
endangering you
band,
guys.
it's gonna be too.
Then
too
you're at
dicey
the
to
point
do
of
it.
I'm just gonna let it go until, and I hope nothing happens.
Just imagine what it would be like if the grate wasn't flat.
Right, right, that was a great idea. But no, yeah, identifying the culverts, the line. Yeah, that's what I've got.
See,
Do we
the
wanna
point
make-
was, he doesn't like it,
What?
going out there with the water at the marker.
Right, the mark,
It's dangerous.
I hope you heard that.
the mark
I
puts
did
it
hear
as
that,
a dangerous.
But that's a change of opinion from last year where you thought. it
Well,
was
no,
Easily doable at that mark.
not necessarily. That mark is like the ultimate. I don't want to go out there if it's at that mark. That's like, you know, that's a high water mark that puts you in a sticky situation. That's why I want the authority to say, okay, if we're going to get if it's 2 inches below the mark or at the mark now, if it's going to get a rainstorm, if we're getting heavy rain, I'd rather pull a board
Oh, then
than
no,
wait.
yeah.
And before that wasn't the case.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
that's
now
why we
with-
did the policy
Right.
that,
So to me, I'd rather be proactive than reactive.
Right. Right.
If that's the right word. You know, I don't want to put myself or Tony and a new guy in that situation to have to go out there and pull a board when that water's coming over and it's over your ankles. And that's, you know, you're over your ankles when it's at that mark. So, I mean, if I was to throw my opinion out there, I'd say I wouldn't have it above the spillway, but
Yeah.
that's my opinion, you know. Those concrete rails weren't made to be underwater 100%.
They were not.
Getting back to the blowing,
Yes.
is this right now the ideal time to do it?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, a nice dry day, you know, getting them leaves out of the ditches off the roads would be pretty sweet. Not having
Weather forecast for the next week doesn't have a whole lot of precipitation from what I could see.
next week.
No, for the next 7 days or so.
Right.
A little bit, but not a whole lot of it.
Right. Yeah, I mean, if that's available, and I could have them drop it off at the end of the day, and I take tomorrow, what's today, you know, I take the rest of the week to see what I can get done, because I don't have Tony the rest of the week. He'll be back on Monday.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Is the blowing, can the blowing be done by one person?
absolutely. I mean, one person runs the machine. It'd be like if we had our blower, I'd be in the backhoe blowing.
Yeah.
So it is something that I can do.
So I thought we had it in the budget for stuff like this. I'd like to make a motion that we approve $1,600 for 3 to 4 days of rental.
I'll second that for discussion. The hard time I have with this discussion is from 1978, 1979, I watched the roads get graded. And it wasn't until 2010 that there was ever a blower in Idlewice. I watched Scooby Chick grade all the roads and all the through roads on 2 half days, 2 Saturday mornings with no blower, no roller, no rake. So that's why I have a problem with this blower lasting a short time, mounting it on this John Deere, and I could see it being useful for getting to places that have leaves. And it gives us powerful enough to blow gravel mixed with leaves also. But, you know, $1,600 to rent while we have this machine that seems to be sucking money and not working for a long period of time. It's hard for me to keep throwing money into this blowhole.
So if the ditches weren't blown back in the day, and that didn't have any deleterious impact going forward with the roads or future maintenance on them,
Here we are.
here we are.
So we're gonna spend $1,600 and then we're gonna spend how much to
Fix the,
try to fix this
Try to
blower?
fix it
and
again.
how long is it
Again.
gonna last?
Well, is the blower, the seal still blown? Hasn't
No,
been
the
fixed?
blower is fixed. It's the
fixed.
fact that the machine doesn't work with the blower.
Right, I know that.
That's
And
the
John
problem.
Deere is trying to,
They're trying
Make
to
it work.
remedy a solution to make that work.
and that's, if, let's say they figure that out,
Right.
that's not gonna cost us anything. Because it's still under warranty, right? I mean, for those kind of things, the machine was designed to do that.
That's what we were told when it was sold to us.
It's only 2 years ago.
Yeah.
What is the motion?
To allow Jeff to rent the blower for up to $1,600 for about 2 to 3 days.
Well, I mean, as I said before, that's the ideal solution. We have to keep, you need to keep bugging John Deere.
Oh, yeah.
I probably say this way too often, but the squeaky wheel gets the grease.
Yeah.
Okay? And if they blow you off this week, you just hit them again next week, until you're such a pain in the can.
Oh, I've been that guy.
Okay, good. All right.
No, I've been that guy, and they got a new guy that I've been dealing with, and he seemed to be right on it, and I'm top on the list. And when they have a solution, then but I mean
Yeah,
that's
it's
like you
not-
said. I'll keep calling, but it's just frustrating when you get no answers, and that's what makes me think of moving to a different machine. But
When you say machine, you're talking about a backhoe?
yeah. Tell them to take that one back and get another one that would work for it. I don't know.
Yeah, well, that's, we got suckered into that one to begin with the Volvo, so.
And that's the thing. I know I could take this John Deere over to, Albany Service, and Alan would get that thing to work, no problem. That's what he did with the Volvo. But that would that would void the warranty on the John Deere, and that's why I'm not doing that. So I know there's a solution to fix it, and I just
Okay.
don't understand why John Deere
So,
isn't coming up with the solution.
If I understand that correctly, that all goes away roughly sometime next year, 2026. At the end of March, we'll have had the John Deere 3 years. Wasn't that, I thought, if I recall the contract?
Oh, I have no idea what the contract was, but
All right,
no, that's just, again, that's.
all right, I'm gonna.
You guys don't want to blow the leaves, that's fine with me, I don't care.
I'll take back the motion, and that just, the real answer is to get a solution to use our existing blower. To work.
Right.
And that may take up to that period of time where you can take our John Deere over to Albany as opposed to,
Waiting on
having-
them for
yeah.
a solution.
So motion taken off the floor?
yeah.
So should we talk to John Deere?
Yeah,
We're just about to spend $1,600, and I think that Albany might fix the John Deere problem for less than $1,600.
Well,
We spent $1,600, we blow leaves for 3 days, and how much does that get done? And we still have the same problem 3 days later. And the whole thing is, John Deere's had many opportunities to fix this problem. And can they void the warranty when they won't fix the problem on the warranty?
that's what we need to ask them. Ask them, can we use someone
Like
else
that.
without voiding
If
the
you want
current
to ask them
warranty?
that question,
I've asked them that question.
you have.
Yeah.
But he probably wasn't able to answer.
I get the no, that you wouldn't have the warrant, you'd void the warranty.
I'm not sure he's the be-all, end-all authority
Right.
to say that.
Yeah, and what they, this is United Agricultural that you deal with, and he tells me that John Deere, the main out of Illinois or whatever, that's what they would say. But I don't know. Like I said, if you guys want to take that call, I mean, I'd be glad to say go for it, I'm getting that from my answer, is they'd void the warranty.
What about having Albany talk to the John Deere? Tell him how to fix it.
Right? I mean, he'll just drill the tank. They say they won't drill the tank at the hydraulic reservoir, but I know he did it for the Volvo and that was no problem.
Okay, yeah, I think maybe we need to get involved and hold John Deere accountable to live up to their warranty, that we need this piece of equipment to work with our blower.
Their salesman told us that that'd be no problem. Any attachment, just like the plow, just like the sweeper at the time, all these attachments would work on this machine, no problem. We put a piece of equipment on the machine, it didn't work, it blew to seal. They told us they fixed it, we put that machine on the product, it blew to seal. So, I mean, we've been on the hook here several times having that motor rebuilt and everything else because they told us that it would work. That's kind of where I'm at with it.
Okay.
That's all I've got.
So I'll make a motion that, what's the best way to first draft a letter to the local John Deere office explaining the problem and the fact that we're frustrated and not happy that,
I'd go right with a phone call.
I would too.
well, a phone call is good, but a letter in combination with phone calls is even better.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I've made multiple phone calls to them and telling them how
Right,
unhappy I
right.
am. You know, if they hear it from the boss, then maybe it goes a little further, I don't know.
No, I think if we. a
Well,
letter
when you're talking to them, there's no hint that there's a government behind it that has a legal budget. You're just trying to get them to do it, and they're used to telling foremen
Right.
their story, and there might be a little difference between,
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's exactly where I'm at, Mark. I mean, I'm on that page, you know.
Okay.
maybe not. But
That's why I'm bringing my frustration to you folks today about
Okay.
it, to see where you want to handle it. Because me, I tell them to take the machine back and I'll go call Cat. I mean, not that I want, you know, I don't want to spend more money, but I mean, you're paying it.
That's a whole separate subject.
Right, you're paying a note on this, you know, what's the difference when you pay a note on something else? You know, I don't know. Like I said, it's, I just want my equipment to work the way it's made to work, because I know how it works when it works. I mean, that thing, like I said, knock you right off your feet, and my ditches will be clean, and my roadsides will be clean, and I'd be a lot happier knowing that my culvert pipes are clean. And that's what that thing does.
So, a phone call, a letter, and I wonder if we need a brief conversation with Laura Spector,
I was thinking that too, legal counsel, yeah.
because this is a contract violation by a company that's in trouble, has been in trouble for quite a while. Not only the manufacturer, but the dealer.
We might want to start by sending Laura a copy of the contract to see whether or not they're actually, does the contract actually say these attachments will work? Because if that's a verbal statement that prior employees had a conversation with the salesperson, that
No
might be
longer
a,
there.
that might be a whole
The
different,
salesperson.
that might be a whole different conversation that we need to have with them.
Yeah, I would say before I sent anything to pay $200 an hour to have them read it, I would read it first.
Yeah,
So if you can find that contract, we'd start there.
yeah, send it around to us so that we can look at it.
I did read it back at the time when it was proposed.
I'm willing to bet there's nothing written down
I don't
about
think
accessories.
there is,
I'll
but,
doubt it myself.
wasn't there a tech manual that came with it?
Yeah, I've got the
An
manual.
operator's manual?
Yeah, I've
That
got all
would
that.
talk about things like attachments?
Their attachments,
There,
Yeah,
Their attachments,
not
this is
third-party
not,
attachments.
right.
right, this is not
Without knowing,
their,
I guarantee you, it's not talking about third-party attachments in their manual.
Right.
John Deere makes a
Gotcha.
lot of attachments.
Right.
So I say we pull out, let us know when you locate the contract.
Mm-hmm.
We read it, we call, we follow up with a letter. We try to get this blower fixed. We have a lot of money already into it. And I don't see throwing more money at rentals
okay.
when there's no end to when that rental stops. 3 days doesn't do the whole village. And everything needs to be graded. We need to do ditching, which is, my question is, when do we start to ditch? So that's I think where we end the discussion of the blower, is that we're gonna read the contract. Call the dealer and write a letter. Go on record as to what the point we're at.
Follow up with letter.
Okay, I agree. And if we get stonewalled right to the end, once the warranty is expired, then we just go to Albany and get this problem fixed. Just have to be patient. In the meantime, maybe we can get them to live up to their promises if in fact, they're aware of the problem, and they say.
Oh, absolutely.
And they're telling you that they can resolve it.
Dave says there's something in the works, there's some preliminary things going on where they're trying to remedy the problem.
How many times did it take them, and is it fixed, before they fix the problem with the outriggers?
Right.
Which is not a third-party product, that's definitely the John Deere backhoe itself.
I believe they've got it now, but it was at least over a half a dozen.
That's 6 times they thought they had the problem licked and they didn't.
Right.
So my confidence in them needing more time to fix this third-party problem is even less. So I'd like to get them to say, if you get it fixed, ideally that they would pay to have Albany fix it if Albany could fix it. I'm not so sure that would be the fix. We could let them try it, but you can't go in thinking Albany is gonna fix something they haven't even worked on before. And like I said, it started with renting this thing that we tied on the back of a 550, and we blew the leaves off the road in the fall.
Yep.
Then our friends got a blower, and then we needed one. And now it's essential. And I have a hard time believing that this is essential, because I've seen it for years. Many different grader operators. We're about to buy a lot of gravel put down on the roads after we do a lot of ditching. So that's the actual take, is those 3 steps is read the contract, call the dealer, follow up with a letter, and decide what the next step is after that.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah. I say we just keep the pressure on them. Either they do resolve it, or they throw their hands up and say uncle. In which case we have to come up with another plan.
Just to give you an idea, in the old days, we would have people with rock rakes walk down the road in front of the grader. And they would the rock rake would grab a rock that was a half a cubic foot and then throw them off the road. That they used to do, and then that stopped. And I've seen it done without that. I've even seen somebody slow down by having a backhoe in front of the grader, and that was just wrong. That was just, anyway. So, do you have anything, are you on your list of things that you want to talk about?
No, I'm done.
You're done. Do you have anything that you'd like? I have a couple things. The 20-mile-per-hour signs.
Oh, that was something, yes.
Do you have those?
They're out. Every entrance to Idlewild has a 20-mile-an-hour sign on it.
There was one on the corner of Big Loop and Idlewild Drive. Do you have any more 20
We don't have any more. I found 2 in the shop, and we put those, like I said, I believe at the entrances of Idlewild, made sure both ends had it. And everywhere you turn into Idlewild has an entrance, a 20-mile-an-hour sign. And I believe those are the only signs now that are out there. We took the 25s down, so.
I don't know if we want to put a couple more in Idlewild on Idlewild Drive where they used to be. One of the things I'd like to do is talk to the chief about putting that electronic sign in saying the speed limit is 20 miles an hour everywhere in Idlewild. At a key location for a couple of sessions where get it out there that that's the speed limit in Idlewild now that he liked, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's a matter of getting 2 more 20-mile-an-hour signs. I'll make a motion that we have Jeff buy 2 more 20-mile-per-hour signs and put them at Big Loop. And I think there was one as, I have to remember where the other one is. Maybe just one at Big Loop.
Yeah, so we might have taken that, I can't remember now, we did it a few weeks ago, but we might have taken that one there and put it at one of the entrances. That's why that one's not there right now.
But that's the only one you moved?
Yeah,
It's the only one I can remember off the top of my head.
yeah, there might have been one right when you gone off the pavement.
That's what I thought.
You know, so that might have, we did move one that, or two that were in places, you know, those two places, and put them at the entrances.
So for now, I'll say get one, if it's not clear to us where the other one was. And the sign at the end of the pavement on Idleways Drive is easily destroyed by winter operations, where the one at Big Loop seems to survive year after year. So make a motion, we buy one sign and have it installed at Big Loop.
Second.
All right,
Aye.
3-0 on that.
but most of the 20-mile-per-hour signs are designed for motorists on Idlewild Drive, correct? That's what, they're the ones who are gonna see it.
Yes.
Either coming from Town Line Road or coming from Route 113,
Right.
either way.
Yeah, which way do you want it facing?
Right, and later in the year, I think we can look at, see whether or not on some of the longer roads, Burn, Hotwell, Gretchen,
Yeah.
you know, should some of those side roads also have a speed limit sign as people enter the road from the other side roads? But we haven't even, you know,
If the FEMA project goes well, and all these roads have 3 inches of gravel on them for the first time in 20 years,
yeah,
Mhm.
what do you think's gonna happen?
people are gonna fly,
Yeah.
Particularly if we use a lot of magnesium chloride,
right,
they're not even gonna make any dust.
right. So it might be something to think of moving forward, to put some more.
Get some more
on,
signs up.
like I said, on some longer road, especially where there's other intersections. Speaking of intersections, Bergdorf is missing its road sign, isn't it?
Yeah, I believe it's at the shop.
Yeah.
There's a lot of missing road signs. You mean the post and all?
Yeah,
Yeah,
the whole
we had,
thing.
we had to pick that up. Like, it could go back in now, but when we picked it up, the road was frozen.
Well, if there's a good tree that would go on, it's hard for the plows to knock trees down.
Yeah,
So, and if they're up high enough, it's hard to people stealing signs,
right.
like they do at Big Loop and
Yeah.
other places. Ditching. I'm looking forward to beginning ditching, and I'm wondering whether we should start talking to contractors about ditching. Do you have any idea what the schedule will be? You have,
Yeah, once Tony's back, we'll start doing some ditching. I mean, unfortunately, it's just gonna be the two of us at this point, and it's a lot harder that way, and more time consuming, but, you know, we could try to pull in Willie, but I think he's gotten pretty busy now, so that might be a difficult situation.
the three roads you want to start with was Hotwell, West Pagamo, and Appinville Way.
Yeah,
West Pagamo needs to have ledge work
yeah,
in the ditch line. And I don't know how, we've never talked about planning when it is that you want to ditch a road and it has ledge in it, because we don't want to do the ledging until the fall when the roads stiffen up, or we can go let that machine onto asphalt up on Oak Ridge, for example. So we should probably talk about whether you want to ditch a road that needs the ledge hammered out first, or whether you want to ditch it and let that machine go back. I think once you have gravel on the road, we're trying to keep the excavator off of gravel roads.
right,
Which is why we want to ditch first and then put gravel down.
yeah,
So, West Pagamo in particular, there's a lot of ledge at the
Yeah.
intersection of Linden.
yeah, sways, blending.
So, if you can figure out whether you want to, if you want to do ditching there first, which road do you want to start with of those three roads?
Vale maybe, or Hotwell.
Yeah, there's a lady at Appinville that's asking when it is that her road is gonna get worked on.
Yeah, I say Appinville.
Yeah, we could get going right on that. It's a nice flat one and, you know,
It's got,
Got some hills.
right, but I mean,
There's nothing
it's
flat
got, it's got a lot
nonetheless.
of roots and rocks showing up in the middle of the road.
oh, as all the roads, like, you know, again, the guys were going to, from Simply Water to look at that shut off on Burn and, you know, like I say, that shows right there. That's buried under 2-3 inches of gravel, that's sticking up 2 or 3 inches. So that's 6 inches of gravel we're missing off that road. You know what I mean? So
Wow.
you're right, so a lot of the roads, are like roots, rocks, we can't grade that.
Right.
No.
So they could get ditched and then they could get gravelled.
Now,
And
Appinville
graded.
Way, I can't picture any ditches that have ledge in them.
No, I couldn't either.
So maybe that is the one to start with.
Right.
And the other benefit of it is, there's a guy that has an empty lot on Aspen that he has mentioned to me years ago that he would like material.
Well, then he's somebody to get a hold of and see if he'll fill out the
Because if we're
form.
gonna ditch, if that's the first road you're gonna ditch, it's a place that we already know where we can bring it, that's a short distance away. It's
Right,
on-
which is
It's on
what-
the part of Aspen that intersects with Appinville Way.
Okay.
It's, I'll show you where it is. I think you might know, it's Bob Goodrow's.
I don't know.
He's right on the corner of Aspen and Bristenstock.
He's Aspen and Bristenstock at the top, and he owns a lot across the road, and he's logged it, so it's ready to take.
Like across from that log cabin on the left?
Yes. It's on the right side of the road heading uphill.
Yeah. Yeah, as long as we can get in there with the truck. It's nice and
Well,
flat. to
that's the
dump.
thing too, is.
I'm trying to picture, I don't know if there's any access into that lot.
Well,
I don't know.
I want, that's the details of planning this, is that do the first loads do we use the backhoe to create, it's to our benefit to
To
have
dump
him
there.
take as much as we're gonna take off that road. And I imagine there's gonna be a couple hundred cubic yards coming off that road at the least. A couple hundred cubic yards off every road
Well,
according
it's
to
gonna be
FEMA.
there's gonna be a lot of material coming out of
The amount
there.
of material that's gonna be coming out of the ditches is staggering.
It is.
Yeah, because the ditches will be deeper when they're done, right? Than current? Yeah, and better shaped,
Right.
so,
No, there's material. I mean, every time there's a lot of material.
The material that's in a ditch, material coming out of the ground, is much larger in the back of the truck than it is in the ditch. It gets fluffed out. It's 0.19 times bigger than,
Oh, jeez,
Huh,
yeah. 'cause
yeah.
It's no longer compressed.
it's not compressed anymore.
right.
And so we have a problem in finding where we're gonna put all this stuff, because I want you guys to take a look at the beginning of Class 6 Bristenstock. It's wide open where the grader would fit. And it's a matter of us using machines on private property and on Class 6 roads for our benefit to take this stuff. Versus the other alternative is we're gonna pay to truck it out and pay, I don't know if we're gonna pay somebody to take it. It's all footwork that has to be done, and
So Bristenstock, where that house is out back in the woods there,
yeah, the house by itself with no utilities,
Yeah.
it's, right.
what, laying
He's
it out over
invested in the
there?
road, I wouldn't go all the way up. There's also rocks up there that,
Well, there's rocks, there's them logs on the side, on the left-hand side.
that's another situation. We
Yep,
gotta have a
How
witness
late
to
do you wanna
this.
be here?
Yeah. I'm looking at the clock on you. So, I'll talk to you about that later.
Yeah.
We'll take time up in the meeting. So we're gonna plan on Appinville Way,
Okay,
and we're gonna start when Tony gets back.
yeah,
And we're gonna contract Bob and see if he wants to take it on Aspen,
yeah.
and we'll focus on that and get going.
Because I mean, if we got started before we got a contact or a firm yes with him, I believe the guy on 113 who I was delivering some to last year, I can contact him and see if he's still willing to take some. I mean, you're right, with that being so close, it's perfect. But if he hadn't gotten back to us by the time we get moving on it, and I could lose it over, I forget his name, Chris, I think was his name, Chris something or other.
Yeah, I think I have it at the office.
Yeah,
We should identify places where we'd like the shoulder to be bigger,
yeah,
particularly where we own lots. We own a big lot up on Upper Lakeview, on the downhill side. And when we're in that area, it would be convenient to be able to put a few 50 cubic feet in off the shoulder and just make that a bigger area for the plows to work on. I don't know if we're gonna get into cutting trees to gain access points for getting rid of the material, but we need to discuss that at length. Probably learn as we go too.
yeah. Well, we have turnout spots, like at the end of Bristol Stock, at the end of, Biasca, you know, at the end of Adelboden, you know, where you have to turn around with the truck. I don't know if we own those lots where we have those kind of turnarounds, but I mean, there are some trees that could come down, there are some, we could make those bigger and make it easier, would be ideal at some point, you know, again, with this material.
Tony mentioned the turnaround on Class 6 Bristol stock, whether that could be longer.
Right, that's
And
what
I
I'm saying.
measured it from the center of the road. That turnaround is exactly 20 feet up off the center. So that's we own the road.
That's it.
We don't own the lot.
Right,
So we could make it go further down the road. What I told him is, from the center of the road, there's a bank on the other side of the hill,
right,
on the side of the road. For him turning around just in that spot, if he looked at it and figured out where he wanted to excavate to make the turnaround so he can back into the other side of the road and figure out how the drainage works through there. Basically, we have the 40 feet on any road. So we have a lot of roads, and a lot of 40-foot wide roads, that if we looked at everywhere where we wanted to build out shoulders, and it could take as much of this ditch material, it might work.
right. So we couldn't go back in that spot, but we could go wide, is what you're saying.
Right, for that turnaround, you could use both sides of the road and make the
Right.
whole road 40 feet wide. It's 40 feet on off either
Right, so
side
you're
of the road.
digging into the
Right.
bank.
Yeah,
40 feet edge to edge, yes.
So
There is a culvert over there on the other side of the road. Like you say, the water runs to that culvert and crosses the road over there
So you're
onto the
saying
other side. So.
when you reach Class 6 Bristol stock, heading up the hill toward AJ's house, we could do 20 feet out from the center line of the road. And we could keep going up that road for quite a while.
And that road could be built up because the drainage comes down that road and puddles just beyond their turnaround in a major way. We can
the
do
one on
this all
our,
day.
yeah.
All right, just trying to envision what one of the plans for ditch material is.
I think the stakes are still in the place where we marked where the porta potties come in. I think we want to get the porta potties in a little earlier this year. I think they might have wanted to deliver them when they delivered in Madison. I think Madison gets them. I think we arranged for June.
You did June, yeah, last year.
I don't know if you want to get them in by Memorial Day.
I think we should, by Memorial Day, yeah.
Yeah, that
So
works.
I think that's when people are gonna be here,
Yeah.
they're gonna be enjoying the
Kick the-
beaches, especially if the weather really turns warm.
Official kickoff of summer, so.
Beaches. What are the systems for, did we have the DPW rake the beaches last year?
All I did last year was clean them up like in the beginning, and that was it. I cleaned up, you know, from the fall debris. I blew them off, raked them off, and that was, you know, took a day to do that, a couple days, whatever it took. I touched all 5 of them, and that was it. We've never raked them all season.
So I was thinking of how much stuff has to be done, like putting the rafts back in, starting ditching projects next week. I'm trying to figure out the FEMA scheduling and when it is that we kick off contractors, because you guys have all these other things that have to be done that aren't ditching roads, like maintaining the rest of the roads.
Mm-hmm.
I contacted Paris Farmers has a municipal government department where they have pricing just for municipalities. I think he's located in Maine. he called me back. He sent me an email with pricing of magnesium chloride and calcium chloride. And I'll have to ask him, but I think they actually spread it.
Yep.
It was
Yeah, Brooks does that as well. They come right, you grade the road, they'll come right in behind you and lay it out. Yeah, they do that as well.
So for this year, where we're gonna be, after we do a lot of ditching and get rid of all the material that comes out of it, trying to reuse as much of it as the quality of it lets us. I think we're gonna hit different veins of what it is.
Yeah.
Because we've seen it look like it came from Coleman's with one stick sticking out of it, and then was.
Well, there's times where, yeah, and unfortunately, it gets all mixed in together and this and that. I mean, sometimes you get a stretch where, yeah, it does look like, and we try to save that material for ourselves in case of a washout, and we have some good material to put back in. You know, working with Ian or something like that, we'll put the better material in, you know, in the hole, because you don't want to put silty material into the road base, you know, when he's got to do a digging job or something like that, you know, on a mortar break.
So we need to look at Class 6 roads like that first stretch of Brisson Stock, where that might take a lot of material and improve the drainage situation for the Class 5 roads by doing it right. So lots of planning.
Mm.
Okay,
All set.
well, yes,
All righty.
10:11. That was over an hour.
Well, I missed a week, so I had to
Yes.
make up for it. All right, enjoy the day.
You too.
Thank you.
Thank you. See you, Doc. Thanks, Jeff.
Take care.
Bye.
At 10:12, we'll move to water and have uranium notification. Additional draft page.
Yep, so, last week, Mark, you gave me your feedback, I incorporated it. Nancy, you gave me some feedback, which I think was that one line before what I've circled.
I have it.
Yes.
Oh, you have it, okay. So, if everybody's good with this, as is, all I would do is make that T a lowercase, and this would be the
Yes.
final letter that would be printed on the back side of the New Hampshire DES form that's already sent everybody a copy of what that looks like to submit to Minuteman Press. I spent the last couple of days taking my spreadsheet formatted to properly do for Minuteman Press to print mailing labels and bounce that against the latest water mailing list that Jennifer sent me that we use for the most recent billing. And there are a few changes here and there. The ones that I got to do it one more quick look-see. The one that really is same names, they've been there forever, but they moved, different address. It's like from one I had before, but I think I pretty much think I caught them all. So I'm just about done with that, so I'll have that ready for Minuteman Press. I'll send that tonight, and the mailing labels tomorrow, and then we're rocking and rolling on that. We will meet the deadline of May 7th, a few days to spare.
Thanks for doing this.
Yes.
All set on that?
Yep.
So those pigeons are gonna get released next week?
What's that?
Those pigeons are released next week? Okay. At 10:14, we'll see if there's scheduled appearances, which doesn't appear to be any, and then we have the administrator's report, and you have a note here about the annual water usage fee due May 1st.
I just want to remind everyone that their bills are due.
I got a couple of things through Facebook. A lady said she didn't get a bill and needed to know what the address was, so I gave her the address, and she said it was gonna be in the mail, so I don't know if you've gotten that I'll talk to you about that offline. You still getting a bill here and there coming in?
Yeah, it's getting the
The bulk is
smaller
over?
and smaller.
Yeah.
There's still a good amount of people that still owe.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm calling and I'm sending second requests, but you need to understand it was due May 1st. Potentially you could start seeing late fees
You calling me?
being applied. Oh, yeah.
How do
I
you get the
called
numbers?
last year. If I have their number, I'll call them.
Okay. Oh, wait. And so there's your notice,
Yep,
And next is old business, the driveway application for 15
yep.
Blinden.
Talked
We're
about
gonna
that
go look
earlier,
at that this
yeah.
afternoon. Or after this meeting.
Mm-hmm,
Signature items. None outside of the manifests and the
Right.
checks.
yep.
Correspondence at 10:15. VDOE website posting, Valley Cleanup Day, May
Yep.
3rd. That's Larry asking for a posting?
Yeah, he's asking if we can put it on our website.
I have the posters for you. Do you already have it? Did he send it to you?
No, but I don't know how I'm gonna get that on the
Or
website.
in the bulletin boards?
Okay,
So we can send her a digital copy of that, so it can be.
I can. Yep.
I don't know about
I,
the VDOE website.
I
Did
don't,
EPA put that on their website?
Um,
I don't think so.
Not sure if she's got it on the website or not. There's mention of it there. I don't know if she's got this whole poster on it.
I put it on Facebook pages for the fans.
Right, and I would think we could put the sheet in the bulletin board at Hutwell.
Well, he's doing it right around the corner
Oh.
from it, right? You can put that on the EPA bulletin
EPOA
board?
It's already on the EPOA.
And I-
yeah, I could put that at the office.
Oh, okay.
I can imagine people looking at the VDOE bulletin board and not bothering to turn to look at ours. Strange but true, I think.
I think it's the other way around.
I think your sandwich boards are good, though.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's there already.
E-
Till Sunday.
VDOE website.
Right.
I don't think we generally,
We don't put graphics on the homepage.
Not,
no,
not that I know of.
no, and I don't think we
Okay, so we're
generally
just
do
listing it in
this.
like upcoming events, things like that.
So,
It was a part of the.
so should we do that, make a motion to put it on the website?
Yeah, I could put what he had sent me, Larry. You
Make a
know,
motion, we put
So
Larry's
we'll blur.
text on the
Yes.
homepage of the
Yes.
website as an
okay,
event.
great.
Right.
Needs a second for discussion.
I'll second that. So it's just the announcement, not the graphics, right? Okay.
Correct.
Are we crossing a line? Is that what you're thinking about?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking.
Oh,
I-
gotcha.
I hesitate on that too. It's not the official business of the village.
Right, it's not the official,
Can open up a can of worms for us.
exactly. And how many events and what other events are we gonna be asked to put on the website?
Gotcha.
If we start putting things like this on the VDOE website.
So I will say that I will vote no, and I will have asked Jennifer to send Larry an email saying that we have put it on, it has been put on a social media website, Fans of the Village District Vitalized.
Okay,
It is on the EPOA's bulletin board at the Hutwell parking lot, and
Sandwich board
you're putting it on the sandwich board also.
in there. Yeah.
So, we don't feel we should set a precedent by having non-official business of the villages on the village's
The
website.
villages, yeah.
okay.
So there was a motion on the floor. I stated the way I'm leaning, so I think we should vote on that, and then I'll make another motion to
Right,
put it in the record of what we just told her.
so
But
for
I
the
just-
motion on the floor, I would say no.
I'm voting no also.
Okay, no. That
3-0
makes sense
on
to me.
that. Now I'll make a motion that we send Larry that email in response telling him.
Response to Larry, yeah.
Second,
Right, with an explanation as to what.
yep,
Okay,
yep, second,
aye.
aye.
3-0 on.
Yeah, that was 3-0. The first one is 0-3.
Right.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Yeah, because we all went against it.
Yes, correct.
Public appearance, public comments?
I've got a few things from EPOA, if I may. Just to update you, the loom nest was installed last Sunday. While we were anchoring it, a loom popped up out in the cove and sat there watching us for a minute or two. And John Rozek, in his infinite wisdom, said, "Come on over, it's an open house."
Did it?
This pair of slightly smaller loons in Little Pea as we were packing up, so they seemed like they were younger to me. Our concern going forward is, my understanding, Mike's property's been sold, closing right in the middle of the loon nesting season. So I talked with Jim Lyons, who's the realtor on that sale, and he's agreed to forward a letter explaining what this is and how important it is to the new owner. So,
They don't own the water,
right.
and it's in the water.
They
Yeah,
access it.
but if they
From that
move their
point, yeah.
boats or docks around,
Ah.
they're only a few feet from the nest.
Okay.
Oh,
So I'm just going to explain to them how important this is for the loon population. The signage is not out yet. I'm asking when that should go out to the Loon Preservation Committee. And we've got our eyes on a closer property for off-season storage, so we'll be working on that this summer. You probably noticed the gardening mulching has been done.
Yes,
All areas.
yes, it looks beautiful.
Does look nice.
We hired a vendor. We're all getting too old to do that, so
I saw that, very smart.
we raised money to do that, and Gary did a good job. Mowing, as you know, we've got, EPOA bought a steel battery mower and battery trimmer, so we'll plan to do the first round before Memorial Day. We've had complaints in the past if we didn't get the mulching done or the mowing done before Memorial Day, people weren't happy. So we're gonna take care of that this year, that'll all be done. Let's see. Annual meeting, thank you for your agreement to come and present. I think Carrie's note said 15 minutes, I think that's a little too short to give a presentation on everything that's going on in the district. So I would personally rather shorten other parts of our agenda to give you more time. So I think last year we were aiming for something like a half an hour plus Q&A time. So that's more than 15 minutes.
Well, I've had multiple discussions of this with Carrie. It seemed like
Way too short.
it probably should be more Q&A, like give us 30 minutes, but really most of it should be Q&A,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, I'll leave it up
That's
to you. You did it, last year's I thought went very, very well. I really appreciate that, what you did last year. We're getting a few things in the EPOA, the regular official EPOA email. I got a water bill inquiry, it might be the same one that Mark just talked about. Somebody said they haven't received their bill, so Jennifer, I'll just forward that to you. Somebody asked about the road, which I think is Class 6, up near Rhineac. And she said, the road's in terrible shape, we need you to fix it up. Well, you can't if it's a Class 6. But I'm wondering if some of the material could be disposed up there. It's worth looking into, so I'll forward that inquiry to the office as well.
Yeah, because what's Class 6 up there?
I looked on the map.
The very far end of,
Rhinebeck Circle is
Behind the
half
tank.
of it's Class 6.
Yeah.
In the tank.
Yeah, it
But
looks-
is this the lady that you were talking about, that wants the road fixed? It's not Rhinebeck, it's the Class 6 road off of Edelboden.
yes.
Oh, one
Amden.
of those ones that I didn't even know.
Amden.
Yeah,
Amden
one of
Place.
those No-name
Oh,
road.
that
I
could
don't
be
know
it.
if it's the
name.
same
Does
person.
that name
I don't
sound,
know
the
who's
road name
Yeah.
sound
Yeah,
familiar to
it
you?
does sound familiar.
Yeah, it's not Rhinebeck.
Yeah, that's,
Yeah,
Yeah.
we've already
That's right,
responded.
that's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
It
But
looked
yes,
like
any-
none of the properties there were developed, like, they were all just vacant land.
But yes, any of those
I walked up
inquiries that come into the EPOA, please get them to the office.
I'm developing templates to respond to all these people, to let them know that the difference between EPOA and.
Yeah.
Nice.
Mark's been
Gotcha.
arguing this for 40 years, right?
Nice.
Okay.
But I try to explain the difference and then forward it to wherever it needs to go, water or whatever. And that's it, that's all I have.
I think I skipped right over commissioners' reports.
She laughs.
Okay, talk to y'all later.
All
Okay,
right,
So long, Donna.
so I'll give my commissioners' report.
Yep.
It was good that it rained this weekend because I spent a lot of time with the FEMA spreadsheet. I was immersed in all the materials that were bought in 2023 from July through the beginning of winter. And I'm not going to ask FEMA to reimburse us for over 100 cubic yards of material that I don't think we should,
understood,
because I'm not sure where it went.
understood, we're not sure where they went.
And I'll talk to Holly Evans about that. I was hoping to have sent it this week and you would have seen a copy of it, but It's taking a long time. Because a lot of it is going between multiple spreadsheets and moving information into the spreadsheet that reports it to New Hampshire Emergency Management. So just let me say it's taking a long time.
Yeah.
Kind of tedious. And a lot of other things, once again, came out while I was talking during the DPW report. Two things I want to get done. By May 6th, we need to send the letter out to the abutters of the lot that we're auctioning off. So I'm going to make that a priority and have that ready to have you approve it by next week, which is before May 6th, and then we'll get it out by certified mail. I don't know if you cashed the check for the $75.
No.
You should cash that because you're going to start spending
Sure.
that on the certified mail that goes out.
Yep.
The details of that are that the letter will say that they're going to have to sign a purchase and sale agreement that binds them to merge the lot. And it will have language in it that will have them returning the lot to us if they don't have it merged by a certain amount of time.
Huh.
That's going to depend upon having that done during a monthly planning board meeting. What I'm concerned about is the amount of time we give them to get it merged. 3 times last year, the Madison Planning Board didn't meet because they didn't have a quorum.
Oh.
That backlogs them into other meetings.
Right.
So based on that, and they didn't have a meeting last month because they didn't have a quorum. So I want to give enough time for them to get on the agenda of the Madison Planning Board and get that merger done so they can be compliant with the purchase. Otherwise, we take the lot back and we reimburse them for the money. So I'm thinking 9 months. If the planning board didn't meet three of the months, that leaves 9 months that they do meet, and they have other things they have to get done.
That sounds like a long time to me.
I'd
like to see it done in this calendar year.
that leaves 5 months. The opening of the bids happens the first week in June.
June, yep.
That leaves July, August, till July through September. That leaves 5 months.
When is the closing? Is it for the bids?
Well,
It opens, what's the closing date on the auction?
they have 10 days to get us a bank check, and then we give it to the title company for the actual closing, and no party actually has to be there. But that's gonna eat up. I could tell you it was a 2-month backlog with the title company last year.
Okay.
So now you're struggling with what I've been struggling with, is to pick.
Well, I'm trying to, the auction opens on June 1st.
They have to have them back to the office by that Friday of June 6th,
Right.
I believe is the date that we voted on
Yes.
already.
Yeah.
We get them, we open them up at a public meeting, we announce who the high bidder is, we notify them, they have 10 days to pay in full their bid price that we accepted at the meeting. Then we turn it over to the title company, and that could build in 2 months before the title is recorded at the Cal County Registry of Deeds. And it will have in there that this has to be merged with the lot that they already own. And then they can go to the planning board. Then they have to get on the planning board's agenda. We don't know what date they'll be assigned by the administrator of the planning board.
But the winner and the new owner of that lot, it's incumbent upon them to get on the planning board to make a merge.
Yes.
But that's part of our requirements, that they do that.
Yes, that's in the purchase and sale.
Okay.
So you can think about that. Well, actually, I have to have it written into the document next week, next Tuesday. So right now, our discussion is between 5 months, December 31st, and 9 months. Is an arbitrary amount of time that I picked out that I thought it could happen in that amount of time.
It should be more than enough time to, but you're giving yourself, fluff, which is good, a buffer, I should say.
Yes.
So I'm okay with that. I mean, yeah, if it could all be done within this calendar year, that's optimal, but
Pick a number, Nancy. Want to stick with 5? There's
No.
nothing written in the ordinance. We don't have this detail
Right.
in the ordinance, so we could say 5, and if they're having trouble and tell us that, and we see the planning board's telling us they're having trouble getting it on the agenda, then we could decide to
We could
extend it.
extend it.
But in the agreement, we can have language saying that at our discretion, it has to be done, or else return it back.
Right.
We'll do that. I'll come up with something that says the end of the year. That language would say, should the planning board not be able to handle this expeditionless, we can give them more time to get it done.
okay.
Right.
We'll communicate with the planning board and see what a reasonable amount of time is.
Yes, and I would hope the new property owner will be talking to us as far as if they are running into any delay on anything that's happening to get it done, because there's gonna have to be, do we have a survey for that lot yet? Do we have to do that, or is the new owner gonna do the survey?
That's even more time and expense.
Because I think in order to, well, actually, I don't know, it's a
I don't know
vacant, it's a vacant lot and it's not gonna be built on, per
No.
se.
I
So-
didn't fill that in because I've done it before with the town and I've never had them surveyed.
Okay,
They never required it, but I guess we should ask about that. I don't know if they require it now for a merger. I'll be going to, there'll be a steering committee meeting before the planning board meeting next week. May 1st is Thursday, so it's, I believe it's the 8th is next Wednesday. That's too late, because we're voting on this.
A week from today is the 6th.
This letter has to go out on May 6th, according to our ordinance.
So we'll need a draft of it that we approve at next week's meeting and
Right.
send it on the same day.
It's May 7th. at
We
the
don't know when next week's meeting's gonna occur because
yeah, I have that in my,
we just received notice that they're gonna have auditors here,
Huh? So we might be at the library?
potentially.
yeah, it would either be a different day or the library.
Yeah, they want the 5th, 6th, and 7th is booked here.
So it sounds like we need to book the library. Well, if worse comes to worse, let's say we had to defer our meeting to the
At the
library
office.
to Wednesday or something, I'm okay, I mean.
Wednesday where?
No, hold on, what I'm saying is if we can't hold a meeting here or at the library on the 6th, we could certainly get together for a quick meeting at the office to just firm up this letter and approve it.
Yes, yes.
I've got that block of time open anyway.
Right.
The question is, do I have a block of time open? Yeah, I'm sure I could do a meeting in that.
Okay, so now we're settling, now we're dealing with when the actual meeting happens.
Commissioners meeting, yeah.
Well, I
If
think
it's not on Tuesday, is Wednesday available for us to use it, or the auditor's here all week?
They're here both 5th, 6th, and 7th.
So it can't happen here.
Correct.
Right.
So you ready to go to the library next week, Carol?
Whatever.
Okay, so we'll check and you can let us know if next Tuesday will work for the library.
Yeah, I'll
And
go
if
over
it-
there right from here and ask.
Yeah, and if it
someone's over
won't,
there.
then Plan B could be, we'd do a short one at the office to deal with the letter and any manifest
Correct,
issues, but not a whole lot else.
And
right.
you know how to get a hold of Carol to let her know?
Well, I don't get a hold of Carol, I get a hold of the Madison TV contact,
okay.
yeah.
All right, so that's the plan is,
Okay.
I'll have a draft and we're meeting Tuesday at the office to take care of the draft, and Wednesday we're having the actual meeting?
Well, ideally, we'll have the meeting in the library on the 6th. The question is,
Right.
is the library
Oh, okay.
available to us?
Yeah, we have
don't know
to
that.
find that out.
But
We
I'm-
just found this out
I'm willing to
today.
bet out of those 2 days, one of them is available for us.
So right now, we're shooting for the 6th. If
Yes.
we have to
Yes.
do something else,
Yep,
the letter has to go out on the 6th.
Right. So no matter
Yeah.
what. if
So
we-
either way, we're doing
either-
something
either
on the
way,
6th.
yes.
Right,
It's just a matter of where.
you got that?
Exactamundo.
Yeah, it's just a matter of
If
the
we're not having the
location.
meeting at the library on the 6th, Tuesday the 6th, we're gonna start at the office.
Correct.
For a brief meeting to get the letter approved
Right.
and out.
Correct,
And then we'll have the meeting on Wednesday if that's the way it works
if that's the way it works with the library, yep.
So, do you have anything more done?
No, that's the main thing I wanted to cover was uranium, which is already done.
Yep.
Nice job, too.
Thank you.
It reads well.
Do you have anything, Nancy?
Couple things, ordinances. We have the water ordinance, the driveway ordinance, and the hot well parking lot ordinance, all of which need to be reviewed and discussed. And it's hard to get into revisions and potential changes on a time limit of a Tuesday morning commissioners meeting. So I didn't know if we wanted to set something, some other time where we would focus on the ordinances, or how we wanna get this planned. Something else we have to plan, cause there's not enough happening.
Well, I think the most difficult of those ordinances is the parking ordinance.
Now, there's some significant changes that need to happen in the water and the driveway ordinances.
And I think we're just gonna have to bite the bullet and, I like to focus on one thing at a time. So in other words, we figure out a time to get together for, I don't know, let's call it just 2 hours, 3 hours in the morning, just like a normal meeting here. And we just roll up our sleeves and work on the parking ordinance. So we all come to a consensus.
What do you think is the priority of
And
those
then
ordinances?
another day for another one of the ordinances.
He's definitely leaning towards parking.
I think parking is first because that's the one that we're gonna be dealing with the quickest right now. Both the water ordinance and the driveway ordinance, we've had known changes, things that we need to fix for over a year. So I think we would do the focus on the parking first and then move through the other two. But we could certainly focus on that, and like I said, I didn't know if we wanted to do it like a workshop setup where we did it on a Saturday morning. Did we want to do it in evening? Did we, I don't know.
is this a public type of
Of course.
meeting?
I'm struggling with not having it videoed, recorded, because the discussion of it is something I think should be recorded.
Yeah,
And that's hard to do with a workshop that's outside here. So it almost would be better to dedicate a certain portion of each agenda of the regular scheduled meetings to these things. Take it a bite at a time.
okay.
It would happen faster the way you're talking about, but I think it really has to be transparent because those hearings usually get a lot of people.
Yeah, no, I certainly would want it to be public, and filmed if we could.
Yeah, I
That's
know-
why
I
I
know
was
you're not-
saying possible
I know
Saturday.
you're not proposing trying to make it less transparent, you're trying to look for the efficiency of getting it done.
Right.
Right.
Which is always the trade-off, but I think I'd have to lean towards a little less efficient, a little less speedy, and have it done at the regular scheduled meetings.
Okay.
'Cause-
Okay, so then if we did that, and at the point we have let's just say the parking ordinance, the three of us say, okay, this is what we think it needs to be, and we're all in agreement. And now we have a draft form of the new parking ordinance. But that's when we have to call for a public meeting to present it to the.
Hearing.
There will be a
hearing,
public
a
hearing.
A hearing.
Once the commissioners have their first draft, I think we should, at that point, we would set a time for the public hearing. Public hearings go in the newspaper and are required to be posted 10 days in advance. So it's not a normal posting, it's a 10-day posting for a public hearing.
Got it. So the crafting of the new ordinance, you're saying it should be done during a regular BOC meeting. We'll set aside time after we get the regular business out of the way.
Therefore, it might take a couple, but we're not gonna schedule a hearing until we're done with those pieces to get, till we reach a point where we say, we vote on a draft, this is what we wanna have a hearing on.
Right, right, and we could certainly separate the hearings so that there's one on the parking, and then when we get ready with the driveway, we'd have a, you know, so we'd do the same scenario, but we'd do it for each one separately.
Okay. So, not that I'm a fan of 3-hour meetings, but that's probably what it's gonna take, and just to let you know, I'll be free again after Memorial Day weekend. I don't need to make that drive anymore.
There's so much to do. I'm wondering how much we're really gonna get done.
So, well, I'll start with parking for next week,
Well,
to
yeah,
at least,
I'd be happy if we got,
So you want that part of the agenda for next week if we actually have a legitimate meeting next week?
Whenever it happens, we will
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
one.
yeah, whenever it happens.
Okay,
oh, what, the start on it already, starting next week?
yeah,
Oh,
Yeah, I'll start looking at a draft and start pointing out some things of,
Okay.
are these the things we wanna look at or not? It won't be anywhere near a final draft or a rewording of the ordinance itself at that point. But at least that way, I'll know if we're all on the same page as far as what we're thinking needs to get changed or should get looked at.
okay.
yeah,
So it'll just be a first
round.
Okay.
first round look at.
But also keep in mind, we have Ian next week.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey,
That sometimes
at any
takes up
point
a
in
lot of
time.
time. That sometimes takes up a lot of time.
Yes, and at any point in time, if we need to move something from this week's agenda to next week's agenda, that can be done.
Okay.
Yeah, because Ian might,
Yep.
Ian's already committed, but he might not be able to attend Wednesday,
Right, right.
so,
Well, yeah. that's
Yeah, we're
true.
not sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was what I had. Was
Good.
Okay.
to see if we were ready to start looking at some of that.
Yeah, that was in the back of my mind, and then it disappeared, then it was in the back of my mind again, and disappeared, now it's at the forefront of my mind.
So at 10:43, I'll make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
a recess.
Recess to
Linden.
Linden for driveway inspection.
Second.
On the how do you vote on the recess?
Aye.
Aye.
3-0 on recessing. Thank you, Carol. Thank you, Doug.